Hello, and welcome to the first guided video for IS 13. For the best viewing experience, please adjust the video settings to the highest quality, which should be 1440p. If you are watching this video on a smartphone or tablet, you can pinch to zoom for a closer view of the video. This will help you locate small icons and hard-to-see commands. Let's dive right into our first database project. So to do that, you want to click on the Start file, which will create a download dialog box. I've already downloaded this file, so I don't need to do it again. And the other thing you need to download is the resource file, which is a Microsoft Excel file. Once again, be aware of where you save the files so you can locate them. Otherwise, it would be hard to continue with the project. So by all means, you can read about the introduction and the purpose of this particular project. The way how these are done, but through SimNet, it kind of asks you to role play different job positions. For this one, you're working for the Courtyard Medical Plaza, most likely as a medical data entry specialist. So, and then these are the different skills covered in this project. So by all means, read that into detail. And what I like about SimNet and the way they created the steps is that you can just checkbox them. And then you notice the highlights move on to the next step. So it does a good job of helping you focus on what you need to do as you continue through the project. So the first thing we need to do is enable content in the security warning. So to do that, locate your file. And then if you try to open it before doing that, this is what you're going to see. It says right now, Microsoft has block macros from running because the source of this file is untrusted. So you won't be able to start this project unless you unblock it. So to do that, you right click on the file, go to properties, and if you notice at the bottom in the security section, you want to select unblock. You can either click apply or OK, but I like to click apply first. Now when you double click to open the project, that red asterisk is gone, but you still need to enable the content. So click on that. And also what I like to do is I like to have my project on one side of the screen and then the instructions on the other side. So the way I usually like to arrange it is my database access project on the right and then my instructions on the left. It does kind of make it a little cramped. And then what that means is the icons you see on my Access app might look different um, on your computer, depending on if you're working on a large screen or on a laptop. Because if you notice, if I full screen it, it's not that bad. There's a lot of empty space right now, so it's not a big deal. So, but let's say if you're in Excel, that would have the way these icons would have changed. Anyways, let's go back to our instructions on the left. So I've enabled it, and don't worry about renaming the file. The only time you need to rename the file is really when you're doing multiple submissions, and then you just want to make sure you don't end up resubmitting the first file with the low score. So, but for now, just go with what the default is. So part B is taken care of. Now we're in step 2, part A, where it's asking us to open table 1 and change the ID field name to Doctor ID. And then they want us to keep this field as an auto number data type. So to open table 1, just double click on it. Right now, it just says ID. Just double click in that ID field and then um, click towards the front and then just type in doctor. Or you can just retype the whole thing. And then to see that the field is an auto number data type, go to table fields and then it says auto number. So you want to keep it as that. So what that means is you don't enter the value here. It's a unique auto number. And this is something that you need to be aware of because sometimes when you make a data entry mistake and you delete that data entry, it doesn't restore the number. So the best way to address that is once you set up the the fields in a database, and then when you're starting to do data entry, I would just create a copy or a save as and call it data entry. So that way, if you messed up in a data entry, you can revert back to an empty field and then kind of in a way start over because it's hard to reset these auto number values. So anyways, let's move on. So part A is taken care of. Now part B is they want us to set up the remaining fields using this table here. So the next one is last name. So just double, well, first you need to select what kind of data type. So it's short text. Now you can type in last name with no space. Make sure you capitalize the L and the N. So on the next one, select short text. It would be first name. So it would be short text with the exception for the last field, which is date and time. So short text again. So it's office number. Short text again. It would be primary specialty. And then this one is date and time. So it's this one. And then just type in move in date. Okay. So that's part B. Oops, forgot to check that off. And then to save it, just right click on the table 1 tab and click save. Oh, they want us to save it as decisions. And the only way you can do that really is close it, then right click on it, and then select rename. And that's when you can rename it as physicians. Because if you try to rename it with the database open, the table open, Microsoft is going to give you this error saying you can't rename the database and when it's open. So that's why I closed it. So yeah, that way when you rename, you can rename it only when the table is closed. Anyways, let's move on to step 3. Now it's asking us to edit the field properties of the physicians table so that it's more like user friendly. You notice in a way we use kind of like a programming syntax where we don't use spaces in the field name. But now you notice there's this caption column where we introduce spacing and also um, synonyms or similar terms. So instead of office numbers, just become office. Move-in date change to tenant since. They mean the same thing. Anyway, so let's find that. So for doctor ID, go to table fields. And you notice right there's name and caption underneath the table fields menu. So click on that. So leave doctor ID for name, but for caption, you're going to repeat that but with a space. Doctor space ID. And you notice it changed. But if you look at the name and field again, the name is still Dr. ID without the space. They call that camel caps, by the way. Anyways, let's move on to last name. So select last name, click on name and field button, go to the caption field and type in last space name. Do the same thing for first name, first space name in the caption field. Now in the office number, that's when we type in something different. We just type in number. Oops, sorry, office. Primary specialty, the caption for that is just specialty. The move-in date in the caption for that is tenant space since. Click OK. And then so that completes step 3. For step 4, they want us to save it. So right click on the tab, click save. Now they want us to enter a record. So like I said, it's good to create another file. Go with the default database format. Sure. They want us to close the table again. Once again, locate where you're storing the Access database. I know most of you would save it to the desktop, but for me, I like to keep it organized. So I have all these different folders. Yeah, I'm gonna save over that. Yeah, let's go ahead and, well, I should go ahead and type my name on that. 1.cl. Yeah. So like I said, this way, if I mess up in a data entry, I can just go back to the beginning, and then thankfully it's only just 4 um, data entry rows that we need to type in. It would have been much more difficult if we were typing like 50, and then we messed up on the 45th entry. Anyways, um, yeah, so we don't enter anything for Doctor ID. That's automatically generated. So let's go ahead and start with Agarwal. So let's go ahead and type that in. Make sure you capitalize and make sure you spell it correctly. You would get penalized for misspellings and not capitalizing properly. Move-in date. There's a calendar here, but it's a but this is 7 years ago now, so this is easier just to type it in. So when you're done with a entry, just hit enter, um, and then just push the left arrow key to type in the next row. Okay, Elizabeth, 115, cardiovascular disease, April 1st, 2020. Push enter. Oh, sorry, right arrow key to move to the last name column. Anyways, so Sharma Rajni, 101, pediatrics, November 8th, 2020. Right arrow key. Foster Margaret, 200, cardiovascular disease. I think it's another word for heart doctor. Yeah. July 1st, 2011. All right, that completes our data entry. Thankfully, it's only just 4 rows. Save it. Okay. Now they want us to import the remaining data. Now the wording is a little different from what you actually see. So there's no um, launch the get external data button, right? So the reason why is because Microsoft constantly updates Access. So this version in Access is, I guess, visually different in the instructions given, but it should function the same. So what you need to do for step 7, part A, there's 2 ways to do this. You can go to new data source and then select from file and then click Excel, which will create this get external data Excel spreadsheet dialog box. So that's one way to do it. The other way, if you notice, there's a search button up here. You can just type in import, and then it will kind of guess what you're trying to do. So you want to import an Excel spreadsheet, which opens up the same dialog box, which is get external data dash Excel spreadsheet. So there's 2 ways to get there. So now you need to find your file. It defaults to documents in my OneDrive. I don't really use my OneDrive. I use Google Drive instead. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look for where I put my file for you guys. Is that Excel file you downloaded from resource? If it's on a desktop, you can just click desktop. But for me, I'm organized it in my Google Drive. And it's nice that Microsoft filters it to just Excel file, so I can quickly find my file. So it's the physicians data file -01. Open that. So that takes care of part A. Part B, and part B. Now part C is asking us to append the records. So it's this one. It's not word for word what it says, but it means the same thing. Append a copy is basically append the records to the physicians table because we only have one table, so it defaults to that. So to launch the import spreadsheet wizard, you just click OK. Oh, so Microsoft is telling me that the table which I am trying to append to is currently open. It must be closed before proceeding. Do you want to save the changes and close the table? Yeah, click yes. So Microsoft did that for me. Now I'm looking at the import spreadsheet wizard. So that's part D. And this looks good, right? So these are the entries for an Excel file, and it does fit into those columns that we created in Access. And we can just click finish. We don't need to click next. So click finish. We don't need to worry about saving the import steps because we're not going to do it again. So that takes care of step 7. So step 8 is asking us to open the physicians table in datasheet view. So to, I think it's just double click it. Yeah. So that's datasheet view. So our table should contain 16 records. So you can easily see the 16 record here, and then the last person is Fowler Seth. So that's fine. For step 9, they want us to change the layout to the physicians table. So first thing they want us to do in part A is to change the font size to 12. So to do that, um, oh, I shouldn't have checked that off yet because I haven't changed the font size to 12. To do that, you click on Home, and then on the far upper right-hand side, right now it's at 11. Just select the drop-down arrow and pick 12. And you notice all the fonts got bigger. Um, part B is asking us to use AutoFit to increase the column width of the specialty field. So this, once again, the wording does not match the feature set that you see here. You're like, well, I don't really see AutoFit. And if you do the search and you type in AutoFit, it doesn't really bring anything up. So um, the way to do part B is go ahead and select specialty field by hovering over the column heading, and then you notice there's a black arrow. Click that, and it selects the entire column. And then we want to right click on that, and then go to field width. I wish to call that column width. And then you notice you either have standard width or best fit. So best fit, I believe, is the same as auto fit. So click on that, and you notice it expanded so that you can see the entire text of the longest specialty, which is, I believe, cardiovascular disease. So it works the same. So best fit is basically what AutoFit has transitioned to. And once again, step C is a repeat of part B. So we need to go to the tenant, right click, field width, best fit. So it expanded it out so we can see the date more clearly. Part D is asking us to center align the doctor ID, office, and tenant field. So three columns. So select doctor ID, click on the center alignment, click on office, center that, click on tenant since, and center that. Part D is completed. Change the alternate row color to blue accent 1, lighter 60%. So thankfully they have this parentheses which kind of provide more guidance of what that exact color is, which is fifth column, third row, in a theme colors category. Now, once again, that button is really hard to locate. And so I would just use the search function and type in alternate, oops, got to spell it right, alternate row color. And this is a nice feature. So instead of hunting down where that feature is, you can just type it in and here it is, alternate row color. And then you can click on or hover actually over the right arrow, and then it will pop up the different colors. So I'm going to count to the fifth column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is it. And then we want to move down 3. So 1, 2, 3. And if you hover over it, a pop-up box should say blue, accent 1, lighter 60%, which is what party is asking us to select. And you notice the colors changed to that blue. Okay, so part E is done. Part F is easy. Save it. Step 10 is asking us to short the physician's table. Yeah, that's a hard word for me to say. And then the funny thing is, it wants us to undo it. Um, so you don't need to do this. You can actually just watch me do it, but you can practice this too. But when you do that, do not save it. Um, just be aware of that. If you jump to step 15, it's asking you do not save any of the changes as a result of shorting or filtering the table. Okay, so you can do it or you can just watch me do it. All right, so I'm going to short the physician tables in ascending order, which is A to Z. So I do that by clicking on this black drop down arrow and then just click that. And you notice it rearranged the physicians based on their specialty alphabetically. Okay. And then to remove the short criteria, I just click this remove short and that reverts it back to what it was before. So that's 10 and 11. Step 12 is asking us to filter. And then we want to do like a double filter. So we want to select filter and then on or after. So it would be after January 1st, 2017. Then they want us to filter by pediatrics. Okay. And if you look at the screenshot, yeah, it matches the screenshot. Okay. But the funny thing is, right, going through all that trouble, they want us, for step 13, they want us to clear all the filters. So to do that, I believe you just click this funnel icon. And when you notice it's not highlighted anymore, it resets the table. And then they want us to close it without saving. Okay, so if you do this filtering with me, do not save. So when you close it by clicking X, click on no. I know we're like instinctively trained to click on yes, but in this case, click no. We don't want to save that. Okay, so we're almost done. So for step 16, it's asking us to add the following database property. So to do that, um, you go to home, to go to the file menu. And what that does, it takes you to what Microsoft calls this space, the backstage. Okay. And then to find the database properties, you go to info. And then if you look on the right side where it says view and edit database properties, that is where you can enter those information. Right now it's set to the name of this project. They want it to change the title to Courtyard Medical Plaza Physicians. You notice I'm highlighting it and I can just copy it. Or if you're familiar with shortcut keys, you can hit Control C. So I'm just going to hit Control V to copy and paste. So you won't be penalized for doing that. Now they want us to type in the author or copy the author, Caroline Ross. So I can also, yeah, I'm going to have to use shortcut key. Caroline Ross, the company CMP. I can type that in. Make sure, or, caps locks it. Yeah. Click OK, and that saves it. And then you can double check by clicking View and Edit again. Yep, it's all there. All right. Now they want us to close the database. And then they want us to submit the project for grading. All right, so let's do that. And then the nice thing, when you're all the way at the bottom, because some projects have much more, many steps, you can always click this back to the top button. It takes you back to the top. Click on upload my file. I'm gonna look for my project. You notice I can quickly short by date, so I can see the file that I'm working on the very top here. Okay, so this is where it gets a little nervous. Even I get nervous as an instructor. Um, don't stress if you don't have 100%, because you will have 3 more chances to resubmit for a higher score. All right. Oh, I got a 80.9. So what happened here? Oh, okay. So this is um, take this opportunity to kind of see how SimNet gives feedback. So I missed this field size. Oh, yeah. So this is a common mistake. Even I make it. Is that when you read an instruction, sometimes you kind of skip over it. And what I skipped over is the field size. So if you um, look at it here, you can always expand the feedback. And then here it says, hey man, all these field sizes are not adjusted. It's like, yep. So this is actually easily correctable, thankfully. So I'm gonna go back um, and correct that mistake. Yep. So this is back on step 3. So I focused on. I'm sure you guys, when you were doing this with me, if you were paying attention, you're like, "Hey, Mr. Ciel, you forgot about field size." So, anyways, so I'm going back to step 3. And yeah, so besides the caption, we have to adjust the field size. Sometimes I feel that's unnecessary, but in the past, it's kind of important that you define the field size to keep the size of your database from getting too big. Nowadays, we have tons of storage, so that's not really a concern, but it's still a best practice. All right, so what does that mean? So I need to go back to last name, go to table fields, name and caption. Oh, okay, not name and caption. You notice there's field size right here. It's set at 25. It should only be 255. It should be only 25 for last name. So I did that. Oh, well, since I did data entry, um, they say some of the data may be lost. Like if somebody's last name is like Argarwal dash Jennifer dash Sanchez, right? Like I noticed some people have super long names. It would shrink down to the field size of 25. So I'm going to continue anyway because, right, there's no last name with 25 characters. So it's not a concern here. For the first names are generally shorter. So it's just 20. I'm going to type that in. Off. Yeah. So I'm going to get that pop-up. So this pop-up doesn't appear if you do it right in step 3. Anyway, so this one, you noticed office numbers are only 3 digits long, so there shouldn't be longer than that. So click yes. What's the field size is 30 for specialty. Just click yes. So like I said, you don't need to do that if you've done this right properly. And you don't have field size option for date. Okay. So let's go ahead and save this. You can close this. Okay. And then I'm going to resubmit. So I'm going to upload my file again. Hopefully I get a better score than 80. I know some of you guys, you may get a score like 92 or even 98, and you're all like, oh, I want that 100. And then you end up getting a lower score. Um, Honestly, I'll just be happy with the 90 because I'm sure some of you guys have other classes beside mine, and it just takes time to just redo it, right? But I would recommend that if you get like something like lower than like a 80, like maybe in the 70 range, I would recommend that you do it again. Yeah, so that was an easy fix for me. My second resubmission, I got 100%. So yeah, um, hopefully this gives you some confidence about um, what you can do with Microsoft Access. So thank you for watching, and good luck on your first project.